Hello, and I'm your host, Mandy Lewis, and I head up marketing here at Zenith. Welcome to the final webinar in the series. We've demonstrated how to design flexibility and add cash to your business. So hopefully we're getting to the point where you can start to do it yourself or reach out to a trusted partner. For this final meeting, we invited our joint venture partner, Vanquish Tech. James Springer and Mark will create a business case to share that total cost of laptop device ownership. So, Mark, over to you. Thanks for discussing the challenges, benefits, and customer testimonials of technology as a service. Can you explain what interested Zenith in the joint venture and how it's going to help Zenith's clients?
Yeah, so thanks, Mandy. We've been in business, like I said, we've managed accounts over the years, but really the joint venture, we looked at the elements that we might be missing in bringing something new to the market space that we believe is going to be disruptive and going to help us drive that technology through. So although we've been doing this for 40 years, the elements that Vanquish can bring through to us actually allow us almost to start looking at this taking over the entire service element for end user compute devices. So rather than IT teams having to worry about it, be burdened by it, etc., together as a partnership, we really bring that capability that can take that pain either completely away, be a hybrid model of working with them, or only give some of the basic enhancements. But I'll let James talk through the service stack, but it's really adding that service piece on that allows us to take full ownership of end user compute devices for clients, giving their IT teams the freedom and flexibility to really help transform with the technology stack moving on at a rapid pace.
So James, maybe tell us a bit about yourself first.
Yeah, perfect. Well, it's really exciting to be part of the joint venture with Mark and the wider team at Zenith. With a decade under our belts, we can join the Zenith team who've built a great business today, and I'm sure most of their clients really appreciate all the fantastic services they've done over the last 40 years for them and their teams and what they've seen. I think IT itself is ever evolving as we see technology becoming more and more of a demand in everyone's lives, and especially for businesses. A bit about Vanquish. I'm Cloud and Services Director. I ultimately underpin sales, vendor, distribution, what our clients are ultimately wanting to achieve on a day-to-day, the business drivers that IT has, and close those gaps and be an extension of those IT teams. Be it 10 at night and they've got a problem, or projects that are on the go, we do pretty much end-to-end solutions for businesses day in, day out globally, covering roughly 36 countries to date, small, medium, and enterprise, and that's why I think the JV itself will form part of many successful years to come. Less pain for our clients, and hopefully those IT teams can sleep peacefully at night and know that we have them covered as a team, and make sure that they get the service that they need with the ever-changing needs for their businesses and driving IT forward.
Brilliant. Well, welcome. We've obviously got the right man to be with us today. So maybe just explain to us the service models and the components.
Sure. So it's broken down into three different aspects. In those three different aspects, businesses can consume those services individually if they wanted to pretty much take one package for the entire business, if that's what suits their business, or what most of our clients do today is they underpin maybe a basic, essential, and a blend of advanced, depending on the type of organization, their requirements nationally or internationally as a business, and what those individual end users are required to do in the business, and how essential they are to be online or have anything troubleshot from a work hour perspective, or possibly a 24/7. So how we see clients adopt that is a basic would be a basic package is normally for your everyday employee that's in the office or remote working, that has basic drivers of what they need to do from a business perspective. And that normally is endpoint management, discovery, and inventory management, remote support, basic protection from a security standpoint, and asset reporting and maintenance. Also, outside of any of the packages, before I go into the second and third tier, we can do pre-selecting, sourcing, etc., just in case that's not obvious, potentially, if that's what the client requires. We can then structure that in a financial lease model, outright purchase, and bolt on the service, depending on how their finance wrapper and purchasing model ideally works, CapEx or OpEx. And then, as well as that, outside of these services, we can add people on the ground if they have different offices internationally or locally in the UK. We can add break-fix components outside of this. We can be additional supporting or people coming on the ground and setting up that whole entire piece, from people at home all the way through to their offices, human scale arms, screens, wraparound, USB hubs, making sure all the cabling's done correctly, in fire and safety, making sure that whole transition and the basic essential advanced package for that end user is implemented from start to finish. The essential package is pretty much your in-between, probably for middle to upper management in terms of a client perspective, people that are possibly traveling in and around the country or internationally, have a bit more critical if they are from a cost perspective back into the business or being out in any way, out of action. That's pretty much ties into the full infrastructure management, the asset management, the remote support in business hours, or they can put bolt-ons of out of business hours. Essential protection, security is key. Obviously, it's a never-ending concern for businesses and individuals today, but it would be essential, basic, global standard of essential package in security terms. Backup and disaster recovery should they have an outage, lose a machine, geolocation, tracking, etc. And all of this is included. This includes everything else in the basic package as well. And then we go on to the third and the Rolls Royce of the option, pretty much, which is the advanced package. That ties in everything that was in the previous two packages, as well as IT operation management, data security and protection, and includes a second degree hardened security option as well for a full wrapper, where they might have bespoke requirements, being possibly directors or executives using their VPNs around the world, etc., and those devices where they might have more of a day in, day out travel, where they require their devices and that on-hand support at any given stage 24/7 throughout. So in these three packages, we technically are not trying to replace anyone in IT. We're trying to free up any time and costs that the business associates to those teams, so that they have everything as a standard golden image and how people are supported to get the maximum peace of mind out of their business and function in the best level and evolve with it. Refresh cycles, tracking assets, managing, making sure there's always stock of the certain peripherals and devices itself, and they're managed end to end.
And I think it's key, and a part of the reason we really found what Vanquish could bring to the table so attractive is that we heard so many, and you heard earlier from Steve and Paul, this almost a cycle of pain that normally is associated with end user compute, and really it's limiting businesses' ability to get growth and to really put their IT teams in the forefront. In the same way, nobody wants to enter data from an Excel spreadsheet into a case management system. Nobody in IT thinks their ideal job is fixing and monitoring somebody's laptop. So, we can take that piece on. And like James says, it's not a replacement of, but an extension of those teams, giving that flexibility into that team, adding that extra resource when required, rather than businesses. And we had a case ourselves where we took this on, where we would have to hire another head to manage some of those basic tasks, but it allowed us not to do that and build a business case around that, because we could take a small section of that, those services that really made the impact.
And just to add to that, where businesses are potentially looking at a head or a number of heads to manage this type of situation, because we do this as our bread and butter. We have over 200,000 devices globally that are managed and run with 330 people today that actually sit in that support desk arm. We also have interlinking feeds from a security standpoint of vulnerabilities and things that are tracked globally on trends, if it's an actual user that's touching that machine, or we think it's something else from an AR perspective. While all of that from a security standpoint changes, if you have one individual, even though superheroes wear clothes at the end of the day, that's one person to cover the entire business. They at least have hundreds of people that are monitoring different trends globally and making sure our clients have that coverage and can actually do what their business is there to do and not worry about those RT pains.
It's so compelling when you think of that level of bench strength at all areas across the business. It's huge. It's truly huge. It's exciting. So maybe, Mark, can we share some of those business calculations?
Yeah, I think I did a little quick modeling,
Yeah.
just through looking at putting something on a subscription base and the CapEx option. So I used 100 devices with a cost base of £1,000. And I used simple math, so it's easy to scale up and scale it down depending on the size of your organization. And looking at that, the basic offerings and essential offerings, James and I worked together to look at how much resourcing in a year that would take. So, we looked at that and then what our charges for it is. And actually, on a subscription basis, because we've got the return values and the stuff Mark talked about in our second session, we can actually get to a pretty much even kilter on a base point of view of cost, where you've got your CapEx model and you've got your service models, but with all the flexibility and adaptability that you'd expect from a subscription per user base, rather than I've bought it now, and if I bought it then and it now doesn't work, I've got the problems that's still there. And then, like James said, that augmenting of those service people rather than the replacement or rehire of allows firms to adapt to those specific changes or specific spikes that they might see in their trajectory as they change path or have to diversify their business. So I think a really strong business case in that you get all the flexibility, but with none of the financial impacts that you'd expect from something like that because of the way we've structured it, which is what we think is a unique in how we're approaching this to the market.
Ultimately, from a business and RT perspective, they're getting exactly what they would have got before, with a high refresh rate on the latest technology, with it evolving as quickly as technology is evolving.
Yeah.
With a few hundred people from a service perspective plugging into their business and RT and being an extension of themselves, pre-planning and helping them deploy and manage everything from an RT perspective and user break, fix and support perspective at the same time for the same cost as they would traditionally. And from that point of view, it's phenomenal.
I think when James and I first sat down and looked at this model and really looked at it, we looked at who's this actually impacting? Who are we actually trying to impact? And that's where the end user came into the equation. And the end user is your productivity source. So anything that's limiting their ability to be able to do their job effectively is having that impact. And you've heard throughout the series, where that the traditional way of doing this has all those impact points that can affect that end user community. We're trying to take that pain away. So a nice, simple life for everybody in the mix. People just want to do their job. They don't want to have to worry about why my PC doesn't want to start up or what's going on. So it's a key piece that we were really trying to drive towards.
And another key thing we identified in this piece for the business case itself is that a lot of businesses globally deployed a lot of RT change pre and during COVID, now coming to the end of that and those refresh cycles coming up. What are businesses doing today? Is the right end user, do they have the right machine? We'll help and plan and run that with you. Do they have the right support for where the business is going and maybe how they had to change their business through COVID? Was there an uplift in business? Do they change their business offerings?
Yeah.
What does that look like? We can help with our software that we are running on each machine. What is that usage on CPU, performance, the end user? Are they using it for the same machine, same role? Did they change roles? Did the business change? Are those drivers different? And that whole piece, making sure they plan and get the maximum for their commercial wise for the business out, and have that support from ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's such a big point these days is trying to get that. I think, you know, it's also, people have got to get into their mindset what they did 3 years ago. You know, the snatching, I call it the snatch and grab of any RT equipment you could really get your hands on, because we had supply constraints. And after that, we had to, you know, it's really now time to get it really good and really perfect. And we believe we have the package that can solve those problems for businesses moving forward.
Yeah, it's so compelling because you're optimizing every area of the business at a time where there might not be visibility. So employee productivity, frictionless IT, minimal disruptions, it's very powerful. So I love the comprehensive solution that we're delivering to address these challenges of end user computing and procurement. And hopefully over the series, we've understood how we provide cost-effective, scalable, and up-to-date technology serviced in a managed service equipment that, how many years have we been managing that, Mark?
40 years.
40 years. So we know how to do it. We know how we can make it happen on a subscription model. Will empower businesses, your business, to focus on your core activities, maximize your return on investment, and improve your user productivity, and contribute to a sustainable future. So thank you for joining this video webinar series. Content is available on our website and via the YouTube channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.